Hello, hello. It's been a very long time since I've done a solo stream. Probably, God, over 2 years. We have a lot to talk about, don't we? We have a lot to talk about. Where to begin? Obviously, I'm still very interested in FARTCOIN. Here's really what I'm interested in, this area. Like, it's a rough idea of what I would like to see happen, but if it doesn't happen, that's fine. If something else happens a little bit differently, that's also fine. As you guys could probably tell by now, I usually just react to price action. I haven't really set blind bids in a while. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not something I've done in quite a while. Reacting is just so much easier. So with that being said, because FARTCOIN has this little H1 consolidation period here, also a slight dip below this hourly breakout point, this is just my level to buy. Now, unfortunately, this is like a 4% range, so it doesn't really do anything for me. So I would really like to pinpoint an exact entry. So I'm just trying to see what happens in here. Maybe price just nukes through the level. Maybe we consolidate below here. In that case, I would do something similar to what I did for my Solana long position, where I didn't quite wait for the exact reclaim before I entered into the position. I kind of just went for it because the conditions were strong. So things like that can happen, but in general, I'm really just looking for specific patterns at certain levels. Someone asked me a really good question, how PENGU was different than POPCAT. Okay, so just as a reference point, here's the POPCAT chart. And then let's check out PENGU. So I said what I would like to see on PENGU is a deviation below the consolidation point. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen now or yet, unfortunately. But the biggest difference between these two charts is this move up here, right? When you have a move up like this, you don't have any support being established on the way up, right? Obviously, you may have some higher time frame levels. You may have some, like this level in here probably is fine. But in general, there's no recent price action with the support building up on the way up. So that makes me really nervous for bidding an H1 consolidation period like this, where it would be perfectly fine to see price just nuke down a little bit, consolidate below, establish some support, and really give me a better invalidation point. I think at the end of the day, that's really what I'm looking for. It's just a cleaner invalidation point rather than this hourly consolidation low here. So we'll see. That is why I approach it a little bit differently. Where would you bid POPCAT? This is probably the setup. The invalidation I'm unsure about still, but the setup I was looking to take was like a bid somewhere in here, maybe a bit lower actually. Something like this maybe. Invalidation is tough because we just closed 1 hourly below and then had a pretty solid bounce. So technically I could do this, but a 3% stop on a meme coin seems a little bit silly and a little bit aggressive for no reason whatsoever. Like maybe something like this would be a little bit better, maybe. So the invalidation is something I was still working on. That's why I am hoping that this isn't the bounce to new local highs and we do consolidate below here. That would be great. So I guess to answer another potential question is, will I buy on a retest to here? Probably not, which I really may regret. Because memes seem to be popping off, so I don't know. We'll see. The thing that I do not want to do is I don't want to get my like ego involved too much and try and have that cloud my overall judgment. Obviously, I've been trading very well lately, and it's pretty easy to let that get to your head and have that impact your trading decisions and make you feel like you're kind of invincible in a way and like, oh my god, I'm such a genius, like whatever I enter just gonna go up. Yeah, so a setup like the one I just discussed with POPCAT where I have like a 3.5% stop feels like a setup that's really forced and one that is driven by hot streak and not like a really strong argument. Does that make sense? Anyway, let's check out FLOKI. I mean, I can already see where I would like to buy here. Pretty straightforward. Extend to the left. Oh, would you look at that? Yeah, so I would like to buy FLOKI here, 0.09. Pretty straightforward. That's where I'd like to see some action at the level. So again, that action can look... I actually just released a video on this, pretty much, is the patterns I'm looking for. So you can go to my channel and watch it. But in general, we have a potential retest of the H1 consolidation, right? So maybe, I don't know, a bounce from the level is fine. Maybe some consolidation at the level, chop at the level. Maybe consolidation below the level is fine. And here, that's also fine. So just some action. I'm highlighting my key levels. And then at the key levels I want to see some action, and then based on that, I enter or don't enter into position. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about where to buy if you're sidelined potentially. So we had a very, very, very key level at 99.1K, right? I think it's fairly obvious. We can all highlight that on our own daily charts. Price clearly blasted through it, but price has not, like if we even go on lower time frames, I believe, yeah, price really didn't stick around 99.1 at all. A total of like 6 hours, maybe 9 hours in the area of 99.1K. But really, based on the daily chart, you would never be able to tell that 99.1K was even in play like you could on like this daily chart, this daily interaction, this daily interaction. Okay, so in general, the buy the dip zone and the area for buyers to continue to step in is going to be a retest of 99.1K. So because there wasn't really a reaction, I mean, obviously there was on lower time frame, but in general on the H4, you probably can't really tell. Yeah, on the H4, there's one candle that interacted with it, 2 candles. So on the first retest of 99.1, I would like to see a strong reaction from that level. Why the first retest? Because the first retest of a key level, like typically, is going to provide the best reaction or the strongest reaction. So that's where I would like to see. On an intraday point of view, we are now consolidating on the hourly time frame, which is great. In terms of an intraday trade, I really, really like this hourly consolidation period here. The reason why I like that is, let's say as an example, we have our hourly consolidation here. As an example, if price breaks up, makes a fresh local high, chops around the high for a bit, maybe comes down, fine. How I think of something like that is, okay, price does not have enough liquidity in order to break through that level. So what we need is longs to be liquidated, we need stops, we need just more liquidity to actually break through that level. So where is that going to come from? Well, it won't necessarily come from just bouncing from this level again. That liquidity isn't going to happen. We're not going to get the liquidations. We're not going to get the stop losses in general. But whoever, let's just say we have some secret entity who's protecting this line, just as an example purpose, whoever is defending the lows here, let's imagine that their stop loss is below here, their liquidation is below here, so they really, really want to defend this level. If this level is not defended, then they get liquidated or stopped out, but that's great for us because we could buy the dip into the very brief hourly consolidation period here. So what's good about this hourly consolidation is it's confluent with an area of liquidity just above it as well. On an intraday time frame, 101.5 to like 100.8. But in general, I would really expect to see price chop solidate further, some bullish chop further. You know, look at how long it took for us to break through this 99.1 because we consolidated below it. So it would make sense to see price do something very similar. It would be insane if Bitcoin were to make a new even all-time high or break 106 here without some consolidation, in my opinion, just because of how long price did consolidate down here. Just a few more days of consolidation, then it's perfectly fine to see a new all-time high and nothing wrong with that. But to consolidate, break out, consolidate for a day, break out again would be an insane level of strength, which would of course be lovely, but I wouldn't be in a position because I wouldn't have bought anything probably. Any opinion on what happens from here? BTC goes higher. In general, my opinion is we consolidate for a few days. Maybe we establish a new range here. Maybe with these are the range lows, something like that. Maybe we get some wicks into the 99.1K level to buy. But in general, I think we continue up. I think the stock market is going to make a new all-time high quicker than we all think. That's genuinely my point of view. Not to get too bullish, but just like think of all the headlines we have about tariffs. Think of how the state of the market through all of these tariff headlines and how impactful they were when they were first coming out, when Trump was first discussing these. We would be dead for days at a time just from one simple headline about a tariff and some sort of clarification on something. And now, over the last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, we've seen that yes, we could still get some negative tariff headlines, but the intraday price action pretty much retraces it in like the next hour or two. So in terms of the tariff stuff, and I believe that we are very well past the peak of that impacting us negatively in the market. You know, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, if China says, you know what, we're going to actually increase the tariffs. I think, of course, the market will have a knee-jerk reaction to it, but I think it will be a short and sweet reaction before just climbing up higher. And then, of course, if there's any positives with the tariff headlines, then that just sends us higher anyway. So I really don't see how it could be a negative anymore, when a few months ago, obviously it was.